What is up, everybody? It's Joe from JLW Games coming at you with another cool video. We're back in Windland Adventure Resort, and today we are working on a new hotel. So don't worry though, this hotel is not going to take quite as long as the last one. In fact, we get a majority of this hotel kind of done in this whole episode. So like, it still needs some details and some other stuff and some, leading up to it and just some like decorations and stuff. But overall, it is the structure and everything and like the shaping of it, it's pretty much all done. We even get into, you probably saw it, we do even get into like the little pool area and everything like that. So it is actually coming together pretty quickly, and we have a little bit more of some parking lot stuff to work on, and just some general overall stuff to kind of get more to a final product of this whole area of the parking lot and such. So we have that this area, this hotel is going to be right next to the entrances, so it doesn't need like a dedicated like shuttle or anything. So it's going to be literally right up against the water park, so it works very, very well. So we just need to make a little bit of an entrance area and like with some roads and everything, and it'll be pretty much good to go. And touch up all of these parking spaces, and then the big area in the middle of the map, or the big area in the middle of the parking lot that is empty right now, we ended up putting in some more parking spaces, and we actually made it the disability parking. So it kind of works out just fine because it's right in front of the park entrance. So works out very, very well. And yeah, this episode is pretty good because it just means that we have just a very little bit more to do for the parking lot. Maybe, I'm going to say it, probably one more episode. In fact, we're probably going to get into the City Walk area in the next episode. We're actually going to start that. So we're actually getting out of the parking lot here pretty soon. So that's pretty hype right now. And I'm sure you guys are excited for that because so you might have the question of what part of the park are we going to work on first? Which park are we going to work on first? Are we going to work on the water park, or are we going to work on the main park first? I think I probably will do the water park first, and then we'll do the main part of the park last. I want to make sure I can work around going from right to left is kind of what we're going to do with the water park. So the water park's going to be pressed up a little bit on the right, leaving a majority of the space for the main dry parks of the whole thing. So we'll make sure we have plenty of room for that, and then our expansion land as well. There could be more parking lot that I add later on, but I'm going to wait until we get pretty much all of the parks kind of in place first. I just want to make sure if there's more space, I'm going to add more parking spaces just to kind of add a little more realism, because obviously we would need a lot more parking spaces. But I think what we got here going for us right now is actually pretty good, because we do have a parking garage as well. So I mean, it's a very small parking garage, but you got to remember that that is also a good amount of parking spaces there, and that's mainly for the adventure resort. And then this resort is probably going to mainly use the big lot right in front of it itself. So. But the main part of this hotel is that it is very repetitive, and it's not super crazy detailed. It's just got like its main sections and parts, and that's about it. So like, and then it's a lot of copy and pasting at this point. So, and just kind of getting those towers where I want, and they're not super tall or anything. It's just kind of more longer. So this is definitely going to be the budget hotel compared of the two resorts. So this one's definitely going to be the cheaper option for the guests and everything, which is kind of interesting. The cool thing about it, the perk it has, is it's right next to the park, so it's within walking distance. You don't even have to take a shuttle to get there. And Adventure Hotel, we actually make at the end of this video, we're gonna actually test out a few things and try and get the walkway a lot functional for the guests that are going to be walking to the park from the Adventure Hotel. So we get guests that will be walking on the sidewalks in the parking lot, and then also we'll have of course some cars going around. We'll also have all of the buses as well driving around as well. So we're going to have a lot going on for us here, so you're going to want to be sure to stay tuned for that, because we do have our real-time section, and this episode is going to be a little bit longer than usual because we actually do a little bit of guest testing. So we'll get into that later once we actually work on that in the video. So but basically I want to make sure everything is functional just as much as it is visually, you know. So I want to make sure everything makes sense, and of course, you know, we also go in and work here in a little bit. We'll also work on the bus drop-off as well. So it ended up being pretty ugly in the end of the last episode, and I said I'd probably change it. Well, we do go in and change it in here, and it looks 10,000 times better. I can't wait to share with you guys that once we get to it. But anyways, but yeah, this hotel, again, is very much inspired by the Cabana Bay Hotel in Universal Orlando, which is a hotel that I've personally actually have stayed at. So I've stayed at two different, actually three of the resorts. I've stayed at the Endless Summer Resort. I've stayed at both different sides, so the dock side and the surf side. I've done both of those, so I guess that's technically one resort, but I've stayed on both sides, so that's kind of two different hotels. And then I've also stayed at Cabana Bay. So I kind of model a lot of stuff off of Cabana Bay, and then the entrance sign here will be kind of interesting too. A little bit, I did use a little inspiration from the Cabana Bay Resort. It's kind of got that vertical sign. You know, I didn't go completely one-to-one or that close to it, but I was like, you know, what if I used like these globes and such? I thought that'd be kind of cool. And then we just use some text. Keep it pretty simple, but also pretty effective at the same time, using these same different kind of color scheme for the entire resort and this hotel itself. So it looks really, really nice. So, but yeah, again, so we're going to get, again, into our city walk area of the park in the next episode. I'm dedicated on starting on that in the very next episode. Again, it's going to be a lot smaller than Universal's. It's just going to be kind of like the entrance area leading up to the entrances of each park. So, for instance, like it's just going to be kind of like a big plaza area with a lot of shops and different things to do before you even enter the park. So that's going to be the idea behind that, and can't wait to get into that. But yeah, this resort is almost pretty much done. Like by the end of this episode, not completely, but like again, more decorations and such that we still have to get done, and a lot of stuff that's still there. But for the most part, we do get a majority of this done. And then of course we need to get into a little bit of the pool area for this resort, because again, I was going to put it on the other side of this hotel, but I decided to put it in this little back corner because, again, it saves more space, and I just thought it would be cool. And then I decided that we are going to work with that little terrain and cliffside as well, as you'll see here in a little bit. So once we get to that pool area, we decided to go on the right side of the hotel rather than the left side. So the back side still had some space, again, for that pool. So after I wanted to get started off with just kind of like touching up a little bit of the parking lot and getting some essentials in there, like the foliage and the lights and everything like that. So it is going to be really well lit. We do have a lot of lighting around the parking lot, and kind of like a uniform thing going on for the lighting in the lots and everything. So using these same lampposts all the way throughout the entire parking lot. So it's very uniform, and also will evenly light up the entire parking lot. So when it is nighttime, we won't have any issues there, and everything will be well lit, which will be fantastic for us. And of course, just finishing up this little bit of this roof, and then of course I think after this, I believe, oh yeah, we do kind of work around the little cliffside here to kind of get it visually a little bit more making sense when it uses the terrain, since it is on this little terrain piece and this cliffside. So I wanted to make sure it made a little bit of sense. So we made like this little foundation piece that kind of utilizes that cliffside. But I wanted to make sure it kind of made a little bit more sense, so you don't have like some windows halfway into the terrain, halfway out, you know, kind of avoiding getting into that. So, but yeah, I saw this little backside area, and I was like, I bet I could fit the pool area in here. This pool is going to be a little bit smaller than the other one. Again, this is kind of the smaller resort, or the kind of more budget resort. So this pool for the resort isn't going to be as grand, as crazy. Of course, the other one isn't as well. There's not going to be like a bar or anything, but it does have some cool visual stuff to it, because you'll see here in a minute that we do work in the terrain a little bit and create like this cool little waterfall. You probably saw it in the opening clip as well, the final product of kind of what it's looking like. So we do get that kind of done. I kept it really simple. I took a lot of tries on the last pool, so I kept this one very simple, so we didn't spend too much time on it. But I think it turned out pretty good, and we still might go back in and make a few more adjustments and add a few more details here and there. But for the most part, that's going to be kind of the shaping of this pool area and everything like that. So we will be putting in some guest spawners on the inside of this hotel as well, so we will have guests that will utilize this pool as well. So it's not going to be just again, the biggest thing about this park is functionality. I want everything to be functional and make sense and actually actually work. Even though we don't have hotels in the game, I'm making it work the best way I can. So like, again, it's not a huge deal for me that we don't have hotels. I think it's just fine. We can still make it visually look like we do. And functionality wise, it doesn't really change too much. I mean, unless you want the game mechanics with the hotel in there, it's not that big of a deal to me. Like, guests in Planet Coaster 1, they'd go in for a few minutes and then come back out. That was the hotel experience. And you had these little cube pieces that you put down. Like, it wasn't anything too crazy. And then for management, I guess it was okay, but but yeah, I wanted to put in a cool little water feature with utilizing this cliffside here. I thought it would be perfect and would make perfect sense to put it in here, because I needed a little bit of character and something a little bit cool that would be utilized in this this build here. Now, you will see me use these ribbon fences at first. I thought they were the functional barriers, but I was wrong at that, and we figured that out in the real-time section. You'll see that later. I was trying to use those to get our guests to go around. We'll get into that again later, but it actually is the barrier piece is the piece that the guests will avoid. So I am going to fix that by next episode, so don't worry about that. So for those of you that knew that and I didn't, I just know that I'm aware of that before you comment down in the comment section, that I did figure out which barriers are the ones that are functional. I thought it was the ribbon fence, but supposedly it's not. I tested it back, and I guess I completely forgot of which one I was supposed to be using. So, but it's all right. We do get it figured out in the end, and it's gonna be awesome once we get there. And yeah, so I wanted to again utilize the terrain a little bit here, and I thought this would be perfect for this little resort pool and everything. I think it turned out really good. Just getting a lot of foliage and trees and rock work, and you can create some really cool stuff in the game. So I'm very, very excited to see what the final product is for this resort as well. I mean, it's looking fantastic. We still have quite a bit to do here with detailing and decorations overall, but I think for this episode we got quite a bit of time in. I actually didn't get as much recording time in this episode as I did last episode, but I feel like I got a lot done still. I think we utilized that time great. We have about maybe close to 4 hours of footage in this entire episode. And previous episodes have been like sometimes upwards 5 or over 5 hours. I had a little bit of a busy week, so I didn't have as much time to record. Then I ended up having to record the last of it at last second. So towards the end here, I mean, I didn't rush it or anything by any means, but I had to record a lot of this footage in one day. So usually I go and spread my days around throughout the week. That way I don't get too burnt out working on this, and I didn't get burnt out or anything, but the time actually passed by pretty quickly, and this ended up being fantastic. But again, if you guys are wanting to take closer looks at this, I keep forgetting to talk about or say this, but make sure you go in the description down below and you'll find the share code for the Frontier Workshop, and you guys can actually you guys can actually view the park for yourself. I do have it on the Frontier Workshop, and I'm just updating it after each episode. So you guys just make sure you keep those files up to date. That way you guys can get the latest version of the park. And again, I do update it weekly, so make sure that you're keeping those up to date. So you have the latest version of the park lined up with the episode. So it is available now. You guys go ahead and download it and go in for yourself. And some of you might want to use it as a starter park, which is totally fine with me as well, because at this point we have pretty much the parking lot pretty much done at this point. So very, very nicely. So anyways, I got a better idea for the bus drop off here. So we deleted everything we did in the last episode. Like I said, I knew I wasn't going to keep it. And we go in and make something a little bit bigger brain move, I guess. So if you guys remember, I did a bus stop already over by the Adventure Resort, the Adventure Hotel. And I was just like, man, how am I going to do this? I basically just covered up the platform with like foliage and like nice looking decorations. And I was like, man, but I'm going to have another road. You know, you have the drop-off area and you have the drive-through area. So I was like, how am I going to do that? So I decided to make like this little planter in between the roads, just to make it look nice. So, and just add some decorations. It was a lot simpler than I think I was overthinking it, and I made this a lot easier than I was trying to last time. Yeah. So basically, we just added some curbs, like we have been doing, and filled it in with some planters, some flowers, and some just nice looking foliage, and it worked very, very well. Obviously, the path over the station area is a little bit high up because, again, it won't place it as low as you'd want to, which is fine. You can see a little bit that, you know, it clips through the wheels a little bit, but unless you're looking really closely, I don't think it's going to be a huge deal, and I don't think anyone's going to notice too much, unless you guys, it might bug you guys now. Anyways. So I had to make a little raised section for the drop-off, technically, so, which does kind of suck. I kind of wish there was a way to blend this a little bit easier, or it allowed us to maybe have different styles of, like, stations, maybe, for, like, these transport rides, especially, like, these buses and such, because if you're going to be using them for, like, parking lots like I do, you know, anyways. So also, as I'm recording this, I'd like to point out that the new update should be out by now. So you do be able to do some custom media and stuff like that, you know, playing trains and everything like that. So yeah, so obviously all this was recorded before that update came out, because the update came out literally today when this video is being posted to everybody, unless you remember. You guys get to watch it a day early. But yeah, so that new update's out, so you won't see me utilizing that update until the next episode, which is perfect because this lined up. This timing was like perfect because like I wanted to customize the buses with like my logos and such, and give them some really cool logos. So like, and this next episode is going to be like final detailing of the parking lot and getting started in the city walk area. So it's good. It's so cool that that I lined this up perfectly timed, you know, just saying. So we can get some of the stuff that I was hoping to have in the game is going to finally come into effect the way I want it to. So I also put like this little slanted ramp that goes up into there to kind of blend it, the bus stop into there as well. And then we just kind of filled it in with flowers, and because flowers look nice, and some palms, and I needed to cover up the control panel again like we did with the last one. I'm just going to use some foliage and everything like that because, you know, these buses aren't going to have a control panel. It doesn't really make sense, so we don't really need that, and so we just kind of hide it up a little bit. So and we do a little bit of line work for the roads. We don't have a whole lot of line work left. We mainly just have the large parking lot on the outside left, because I did all of the line work here, kind of leading up to the exit of the park. So and then you see this big lot right here. I talked about it a little bit. That is going to be our disabled lot. So we have one last lot that we're building, and that will be great. So we have another guest spawner that I'm going to put in right there as well. So on that bus drop off. Just because I wanted my buses to be so functional and guests to actually ride them, I overcomplicated it. It's overcomplicated a little bit, but I want everything to function. These drop-off buses and everything, they're not just for show. Like, the guests are actually going to ride them. Like, that's my goal. Guests are going to ride them from the hotel to the front entrance. So that is going to be that's what I'm most excited for. So anyways, I was wondering what I was going to do with this big open space, where the drop-off is, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to put some more parking spaces in it. I feel like we need a few more parking spaces, and I literally didn't realize until this episode that I didn't have any disabled, parking lot. So I was like, this would be perfect. It's not the hugest parking lot or parking area in the world, and we can make a nice little dedicated disability parking lot, because it's right in front of the bus drop-off as well, so it works absolutely perfect in our favor here. And yeah, I didn't get these lined up at first, so I had to kind of restart them and redo them, kind of sucked a little bit, but you know what, we're dedicated. We got it. We get it all done in the end. And yeah, so this episode, after we get this done, this is pretty much the main part of this episode, and a few more details, like just adding more foliage and trees around the area after we fill this in with the pathing. And then, again, in the real-time section, we're going to do some tests with some guests, so you guys can see what we did there. Pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting, to see what we got done. This is like the most functional and best parking lot I've ever done, if you ask me. I've attempted it a few times, I think, with Time City, which was fairly functional. It had some, I never did it to the extent that I wanted to. So in the next episode, though, we will get some cars driving on there, not just the buses. We're gonna have some cars driving on the road. That is what we're gonna be doing next as well. So I'm gonna try and get that going. So we have cars driving in. We'll also place some cars in the parking spaces as well. Hopefully we'll get some real cars in the future. So I'm not gonna overpopulate the parking lot with cars. I'm just gonna put a decent amount. We're not gonna fill every single spot. We're just gonna fill in a few spots with some cars, so there is at least some cars in the parking lot as well. And then the cars that are moving, we're gonna make it look like they park in some spaces. I did that in Time City, I think it was. But we'll have them park in some spaces, sit there, and then move later on. So you kind of get that visualization of cars parking and parking spaces. And I'm gonna try and do different colors cars, different styles of cars on each car, so it's not just the same colored car or the same type of car. We're gonna try and we're gonna test it on one first, and if it goes well, then we'll do it on the rest. So I did add on the cars that we're gonna have. So basically, we're doing a tracked ride. We're gonna sink that underneath the ground, and then at the top, we're gonna actually have our car model. And I actually changed it to where the tires are actually spinning, so it does look like it is spinning. So and then I'll try and add some triggers to where the the wheels will stop once we go into a parking spot, so you actually get that visualization of those cars actually driving. It's too bad we don't have any actual cars in the game yet. Hopefully we will at some point, so we can actually get some decent looking cars. The workshop items I'm using look pretty solid, so hats off to everyone that has created some car pieces for us to use in the workshop. So hats off to you guys. But I really want to see Frontier add something like the Studios packs, where we can actually get some car. Doesn't have to be a ton, just at least a few different cars. Maybe a SUV, maybe a truck, and then a sedan. And just once you change the colors of those to each car, you just change some of those colors, you're good to go. As long as they're flexi color, and you can really make your parking lot look really good. And then of course we can now animate them with the tracked ride, so that would be really cool. I'm just excited for all that. So absolutely Incredible stuff. Hopefully, again, with them bringing back some Planet Coaster 1 themes, hopefully they'll look into bringing back some of the DLC themes as well. So that'd be awesome. It'd really just kind of complete Planet Coaster 2. You know, I think once we get everything that we had in Planet Coaster 1 into Planet Coaster 2, plus all the new features, of course, that we have now, I think the game will be in a very great state. So, like, right now, I think we're just kind of hurting for more pieces and more themes at this point. Like, yeah, you can do a lot with what we have right now, like, and I won't deny that we do, but I really do hope they do bring in some more pieces. And, you know, since there's no DLC coming in the super near future, you know, I kind of hope that the Planet Coaster 1 themes make their way in fairly quickly, you know, since we're getting a lot of the free updates, and we're not getting a lot of DLC lately, you know, which, in my opinion, kind of sucks, but I understand why people, you know, want the game to kind of get to the standard before they start putting out more DLC. So so hopefully sooner rather than later they'll get that done. Of course, we're getting some major updates every single month, starting with the one that just came out today, and of course the other ones that will come out each month later on. So very, very exciting for that. And oh yeah, I almost forgot about this. We actually did go up and work on the rooftop bar, because I didn't actually finish it. I actually just kind of left it hanging, and I thought about that. I was like, I should probably go finish that up, or at least get it somewhat finished, you know? So we went up here and just kind of detailed it and put some like picnic benches up here and everything. So hopefully it'll be functional, and we do kind of test out to see if guests will come up here. No one came up here, at least in the first test, but you'll see all that in the real-time section and everything like that. So yeah, so, and then of course we do the barriers here at the end as well after we get this. So for the barriers, again, I use the ribbon barriers, the ribbon fences, which weren't the correct ones, because in Planet Coaster 1, they all worked as the barriers and actually had a function to where guests will avoid going through them. So very, very useful. And I'm glad that they did add one, at least added it to one in Planet Coaster 2, but it should have been all of them, but it's not a big deal. As long as we have one that works, you know, you can sink it underground and hide it, and make it to where guests will not go through. And at this point, I was trying to figure out how am I going to do a pathway that will lead, or you know, a walkway to lead the guests from the hotel into the sidewalk that will lead them to the park. You know, I was looking at all my different possibilities, and then I was like, wait, there's a lot of space right here. I can actually just put it right here, and it will lead from the back of the hotel, which is fine, you know. And then we also, if they want to use the bus, they can use the bus, or they can use this. So so I had to rearrange because I didn't account for this walkway earlier, which I should have. Yes, everything is planned out and what I want to do, but I completely forgot to create a pathway or a walkway that would lead it to the sidewalk. But thankfully, we were able to figure something out, and it worked out brilliantly, like just perfectly. Like I couldn't have asked for a better solution, because I was like, man, I actually have enough space there to put a little sidewalk. But yeah, I ended up using the ribbon fence here because I thought it was the one that worked, but it wasn't. It was the actual barrier, you know, like the road barrier. That is the one that works. So you'll see in the real-time section, we end up switching to that in the end. We figure that out in the testing. So again, I record everything kind of backwards. So like the real-time section gets recorded before my voiceover here. So this is future Joe. The real-time section is past Joe. So, but yeah, just so you guys know, before we go into the comment section, that is what's going on there. But that's going to about do it for this time lapse. So without further ado, we'll go into real-time Joe, and Joe will explain all the testing and kind of show you what the testing is going on there to kind of wrap up this video. So anyways, that is going to do it for this time lapse, and we're going to now head into the real-time section of the video. Alright guys, welcome to the real-time section, where we're going to go over everything that we have completed in this episode, but we're also going to go ahead and make some tests. The first little bit vital test, of course, we created the little ribbon fence, which also acts as a barrier in the game, so we sunk that underneath the pathways of where we don't want our guests to go, and we created a path, which I hadn't really done before, and I didn't really make it the way I should have, but or I should have planned it out beforehand, but I didn't really plan a good path coming from the resort or the adventure resort that will lead over here. Thankfully, our new resort here, which we're going to talk about here in a minute, to the Paradise Resort, which is the water park themed resort. So this one's linked to the water park. Easily has a walkway that will lead right into the entrances of the park. So basically, for this one is a little bit inspired by Cabana Bay at Universal, and I wanted to put it a little bit on this cliff a little bit, so we had to make some little elevation changes and kind of adjust around that because I did want to work around the terrain there. And then I did see this little pool here. I was going to put the pool on this side, but to save even more space, I decided to put it here because I was like, man, we have a little bit of space here. This resort is going to be kind of the cheaper of the two resorts. It's not as premium, so the pool area is going to be a little bit more simplified, but we have this cool little waterfall feature. We did have some terrain we had to work around in here, so I was like, I'm going to put like a little cliff edge, and wouldn't it be cool if we had a little waterfall going into our pool? And everything, so like that. So we are going to put another guest spawner on the inside of this hotel resort as well. That way the guests will come from that hotel also. So we are not going to, I did decide I was going to at first, we're not going to have the bus stop right here because it's literally next to the entrance of the park. So it's within walking distance. There's really no sense to have a parking a tram or like a bus pick you up here and then drop you off right here. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So it does not have, this one will not have bus pickup for it at this point. We did go in and fix up the bus drop off here to make it look a lot better. I kind of went with the what we did over here earlier, and that is kind of just cover up the sides and put the path as low as we can, which it does make the wheels kind of go under the ground a little bit, but it's just something we're gonna have to sacrifice for now. So we went with that idea, and I was like, what if I put a second lane next to it, and we just kind of decorate this up, you know, kind of make it look a little bit better. So if you're dropping off right here, you'll go in this lane. If you're going to continue further on, you'll stay in the left lane. That is kind of the idea here. And we just, you know, when you do have things like this you have to cover up, you got to do your best to try and make it look good and really just clean it up. So the best way to do that was just to cover it up with some planters and stuff like that. We also put a regular guest spawner over here as well because I want to make sure there's another regular guest spawner. So we're going to have a total of, I think, 3 guest spawners, at least as of right now. One here at the bus drop-off, and we're going to have one in each hotel. So these pools should also be active as well, so we might test that out also. So we have a few things we're going to test out here in the real-time section, which is going to be a little bit longer than usual, but I want to test out the barriers, make sure they're going to work, and to do that, we do need to go ahead and create some sort of attraction over here. Just real quick, I'm not going to, this is not part of the park or by any means. I just need something to attract the guests over here so we can test this out. This save's not going to be saved. This is just for testing purposes, because a lot of you had concern of how the guests are going to get there. I decided to try and go ahead and use some guests or some barriers, which will hopefully work in the end. If they do not, we are going to create some sort of new solution of some sort, so just keep that in mind, that this is a work in progress, and we're going to work on it as best as we can. Now, for the purposes of this test, I am going to go ahead and delete that guest spawner there, because I don't think it would be a good idea to have right now. We don't want guests coming out of that. I want to encourage the guests in this resort. This one I'm not too worried about because it's just right there. I'm wondering how this one's going to turn out. So what we're going to do here, this one does not have enough stations. So this bus stop is from that. We have not connected yet this. So this is basically, we don't want this open because we want to test the guests walking from here all the way up to here. So hopefully the guests will actually use it and want to get to this ride. We might add a couple of more things over here just to make sure that they are willing to go over here. So we'll just do some quick blueprints, you know, for some food and some such over there. I just need the guests to get to this area. So we need to open up some of these. We're in sandbox, so we don't have to worry about power right now, which is definitely good for that. We're also going to add a few more flat rides, some good quick flat rides real quick. Nothing fancy. We're just literally going to try and test out guests using the sidewalk, walking into this direction, and hopefully they go where I want them to. If they don't and they end up walking across the parking lot, it's not the worst thing in the world because guests are going to do that in real life anyways as well. I just don't want giant crowds of them doing that. If a few of them end up doing that, I don't think it's the end of the world. But if we can get the majority of the people to use this route right here, you can see from this over here going all the way around and crossing the street right here, and then moving over here, and we're gonna have some crosswalks. So yeah, it's not like the biggest walk either, so it's not, I think it makes the most sense. But if these barriers weren't here, once they got to this point, they would literally just probably cut across the disability parking lot here and go over here, which isn't the worst thing in the world. It could be worse, so I'm not that it's not that big of a deal overall. So let's just go ahead and test this out. We're gonna go ahead and open up the park. I don't think the park is currently open, so let's go ahead and do that. Park is now open. We do already have our entrance, so if you remember, we did place an entrance on the inside of this building here. Let's turn our light on so we can see. I did go ahead and place an entrance right away as you get in here. So I'm interested to see if the guests will also go up into the rooftop bar as well. So that's something we are going to have to keep an eye on. So here they come, and we'll see where they go. See if anybody goes right here. That is something that I'm very curious of. But we do need to make sure everything is open over here as well to make sure that they start heading over here. So to do that, let's make sure that these are open, just like that. This chief beef is open, and let's go ahead and maybe get a few more facilities just sitting in here for our guests, so they can have a reason to head in this direction. All right, so let's see where they're at. Some of them might go to the pool, which is fine. Also a good test for that. So they're coming in through here. Let's go ahead and open up this so we can test that out as well. Make sure these are all open so they can also go to the pool. So first off, first and foremost, we need them to come over here, and hopefully they'll head this direction, which is the only way to get over there. So they have to go this direction to even get to the park. So some of them are getting ready for the pool, which is totally fine. That is how we want it. Again, we are in sandbox, so we're not worrying about any of those things. So this guy is going to be our first test, and we do have some guests using the pool as well, and we do have a lot of them going towards the pool, which is, again, totally fine because I do want people, of course, using the pool as well. That would be nice and realistic. But the moment of truth is really once they get to about this point, this corner right here, because if they don't use the barrier, or if they ignore the barrier, they'll cut across this parking lot. Again, not the worst case scenario, but we obviously don't want that completely. But I do want guests walking on the sidewalk, and just really my ultimate goal is to make this parking lot really as active and functional as possible. So it's not just for show. I want it to also be for, everything else. I want it to be active, stuff moving around in there. And, that's why we have the buses. We're going to have cars driving around as well. Once we get to that point, we're actually getting close to where I can start getting those cars pulling around as well. And we'll probably get some cars in the parking lot as well here soon. But let's go ahead and fast forward and check out our guy here and see if he turns left or if he goes straight. And he unfortunately is going to cross the road. That is not ideal. So that is unfortunately what we did not want to happen. Let's go ahead and select. Let's go ahead and select the barriers here, because again, we do have the barriers here. And let's move these barriers up. Let's see if having them, see if they have to be above ground. Last I checked, these barriers do work, but they did not work there. Hopefully it's not because they're underground. So they're gonna walk right through the barriers, which is a bad thing. You know, we don't want that to happen. Maybe, did I use the wrong piece? Maybe it's the barrier. I don't think the barrier makes sense. Is it the barrier? Okay, so I used the wrong piece. I thought the ribbon is what we needed to use. So, okay, so I got this. We got this. Okay, so we need to use the barrier. That makes a little bit more sense. Kind of, yeah. See, that is directing them where I want them to go, so that's perfect. We don't even have to be... We could be sloppy here, and it wouldn't. It's okay. Like, as long as they're not walking around the road, okay with that, you know? We just... We did have some people slip over here. That's interesting. Oh, they went through here. That's right. Forgot about this spot is connected too. That's what happened there, so... Okay, so it's the barrier pieces that actually keep the guests from where we want them to go. Hey, what are you doing? Get out of here. They tried to cheat the system. Look at that. All right, these guys are all going the right way now, so I think we have figured it out. I will probably do this off screen, like properly, and we'll get those going. So, I knew one of them worked. I thought it was the ribbon fence, but I guess I was wrong, and it was actually these guys. So, very well noted, and I don't know why they haven't got it to where the curb does not work. Doesn't make too much sense to me, but you know what? As long as something works, it's fine, because you should be able to bury this underground and hide it as well. Oh, they found an opening. Get out of here. They found an opening somehow. Look at them, trying to be sneaky. But anyways, it looks like this is going to be our go-to, and I think it's going to work once we get... A lot of them look like they're squeaking through. Oh, maybe not. Some of these people are at a standstill. You guys can go this way. It's okay. They want to go through here so badly. I don't know why. I don't know why they want to go through there so bad. They, for some reason, want to go that way. Oh, everyone's going... Found a hole over here, too. They're finding holes. But I think we can get this sorted out. But that's the kind of testing I wanted to do real quick. But it looks like if we get it correctly and get it precise, I feel like we should be able to get them going around there. So I'll do that off screen before the next episode. So you guys don't have to go through me going through that again. Some of you probably realized that I got the wrong piece, but that's all right. But we did get them all the way up to this corner, and we're gonna get that going. So, oops, sorry. But we're gonna get that going. So, I don't see any guests. Let's see. It could just because it's a long walk, but no guests have headed to the rooftop bar yet, which could be a concern. A lot of them are going that way to try and I don't know what they're doing. Heading to changing rooms. So why are you going that way? Some of them start to go that way, but maybe I need to put a park entrance also over here potentially as well. We'll do further testing, but I just wanted to test that in real time here so you guys can check it out. But look how far along our parking lot has gone. It is very, very good. This hotel needs some more detailing and stuff going on, but besides that, and maybe some more extra details around the parking lot and some fine tuning, we're about ready to head into the park entrances pretty soon. So we're going to do our own little city walk area. That's the first thing we're going to do, and we probably will get started a little bit on that in the next episode. So we are about to head into the parks for the first time. So I bet you guys are excited for that just as much as I am. But yeah, so a few more fine-tuning details with the parking lot, probably one more episode, and then we should be getting ourselves into the parks. And we'll probably start a little bit on the water park and go from there. We'll save the main park for last. The water park probably won't take super long to build, hopefully. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, guys. Thank you guys for watching these episodes and all your support, guys. It really means a lot, so continue to do that, and I appreciate it. So so make sure you guys have a great day and a cooler tomorrow, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks so much, and goodbye.